So back again, just talking to my wives out there who are ready to have their happily ever after and improve their relationship with their husbands without adopting these old fashioned ideas and theologies and all of these things, but who are very clear that we are living Christ-centered lives and we move differently than other women and we think differently than other women and we behave differently than other women. Those are the women that I'm here to teach. And the next principle that I want to teach you is about boundaries. Now, as a therapist, I am all about appropriate, healthy boundaries in a relationship. But sometimes, ladies, we get it wrong only because we put too many boundaries in place where they feel like barriers and rules in prison. And I'm not saying that maybe your husband isn't deserving of having extra boundaries. I'm not saying that at all, because he may have done some things that cause you not to trust him or to see him as a responsible adult. But at some point, you have to allow him to be an adult and you have to allow him to make decisions on his own without putting so many boundaries in place. Let me explain. Some of us have more boundaries in place for our spouse than we do for our children. We allow our children to get away with murder. We allow our children to say things and to do things, and we can justify and rationalize it and make it okay in our heads. But as soon as our husband steps out of line, he has to have a boundary. He has to have a barrier put in place to prevent him from doing those things in the future. At the end of the day, your husband is an adult. Whether he's a responsible adult or not, he's an adult. And you could put 40,000 boundaries in place and still not be able to protect your heart and still not be able to keep him from making certain decisions. So what I want you to understand is sometimes we need to loosen up our boundaries and just allow things to unfold naturally. Not all boundaries, because some boundaries are healthy and some boundaries are needed. You know, boundaries about fidelity and respect and honor and all of those things, those need to remain in place. But in terms of trying to micromanage and trying to ensure that he follows your instructions to the letter, yeah, no, you're going to always be disappointed. And I'm speaking, of course, from firsthand experience because I made almost every mistake in the book when it came to my husband. And even though I blamed him and the things that he was doing or the things he wasn't doing as the reason our marriage was on the brink of divorce 3 times, at some point I also had to look at my role in the relationship breakdown. And one of the things that I noticed is that he had to, in my mind, follow everything that I wanted him to do the way I thought he should do it. And of course, he's an adult, so he's going to resist and he's going to rebel and he's going to do what he wants to do. And so that would just breed more hostility for me, more resentment for me. And our relationship just continued to be one of dominance and control. He was trying to do his own thing. I was trying to prevent him from doing his own thing in an attempt to micromanage his behavior so that he could fulfill the script for him that I had made up in my head. See, I had a script before I met him on how my husband would think, how he would behave, the decisions he would make, so on and so forth. And so when he wasn't on script with what I had made up in my head about how I thought he should have behaved, I was doing everything I could to preserve the script. And that meant a lot of boundaries for him. That meant a lot of rules for him because I needed it to go on cue and I needed it to go without a hitch. And so, of course, he doesn't want to do the things the way I scripted it out before I even met him. I mean, what husband would? That doesn't even make logical sense. And so he would do it his own thing, and rightfully so. But I didn't see it that way for many, many years. I actually had to go to therapy myself. I'm a relationship strategist. I'm a licensed psychotherapist. I've been doing this work for 15 years. But when you're emotionally involved, you don't have the objectivity that you need. So you know you need to go get a third party who doesn't have any skin in your game. who is neutral, who can see things from both perspectives. And what she taught me was that I was basically being a hall monitor. I was basically being the hall monitor. And that's the reason I was so dissatisfied. I set my husband up to fail me over and over and over again because I had too many rules and I had too many boundaries. In an effort to preserve my heart and an effort to get the happily ever after the way I thought it should come. So that is your teaching tip of the day, ladies. Too many boundaries, too many rules are going to keep you dissatisfied, and your relationship will continue to be dysfunctional. So relax some of those boundaries, understanding that he's going to do what he wants to do anyway. So no need for you to continue to set him up for failure in your head by trying to make him stay in line with the boundaries and rules that you've set for him. Appropriate, healthy boundaries are necessary for every relationship. But all of those extra boundaries and rules is going to keep your relationship stale and stagnant. So I'll see you again tomorrow for another tip.